Hi, I'm Darryn Farrugia and welcome. In this video, I want to show you how to practice an independence exercise. A lot of the work that I've practiced and a lot of work I give my students is about developing independence in various styles. It could be jazz, rock, funk, Latin, whatever. But it's usually the actual practice of those exercises that seems to cause a lot of frustration, and hopefully by teaching you this little approach that I use for practicing independence exercises, then hopefully that will alleviate some of that frustration. So what's an independence exercise? Well, an independence exercise is basically a coordination exercise where one limb is playing rhythms that are independent to, say, your other limbs. An example of that is what I'm going to teach you today, and that is in the jazz style. Now we have to split the body into two parts. One part is the ostinato. So the ostinato or an ostinato is a repeated pattern. So in this case, the ostinato is going to be the jazz ride cymbal pattern with the hi-hat on 2 and 4 and the bass drum feathering on all quarter notes. The other part is the independent voice. Now the independent voice or independent limb is the limb that in this case is going to be reading an exercise. So an example of that is what you heard me play at the start of this video. I was playing an ostinato, which was the jazz ride cymbal pattern, hi-hat on 2 and 4, feathering the bass drum, and the left hand on the snare drum was playing independently of those other voices. So that's what we're going to work on today. As with some of my previous videos, I'm going to use syncopation exercise number 1 from Ted Reed's famous syncopation book. That's page 38 now, used to be page 37. I'm still sore about this. I don't know why, it really winds me up. Maybe we should sign a petition to get the publishers of the book to make that page 37 again. Just a thought. So generally what happens is when I have a student who is about to play this exercise, this is kind of what happens. 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, it's a lot of stopping and starting. There's a lot of frustration that gets developed, and the student really feels like they're not actually making any progress with this. And that is because they just haven't figured out how to practice it. So this is my approach. This is how I teach the practice side of it. And then once you master this approach, then you can apply this to just about any independence exercise you can think of. So what we need to do is we need to start off with the ostinato. So as I said, it's the jazz ride cymbal pattern, ding, 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 with the quarter notes on the bass drum, which is feathered, so it's a very light quarter note, heel down, feathering on the bass drum, hi-hat on 2 and 4. This is the ostinato. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what we're going to do with the left hand on the snare drum is just play the very first bar of the syncopation exercise. So that bar sounds like this. I'll play that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just play that as a loop. So I'm just going to repeat that bar over and over a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you look at the notation of that exercise, it's actually written as straight eighths and quarter notes. So as it's written, it would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what we're doing is interpreting that as triplets. We're swinging it, we're giving a swing feel. So basically what I'm doing is taking each of those eighth notes and interpreting that as the first and third note of each triplet. So that's how we create a swing version of this syncopation exercise. Now this is where things can go wrong. So we need to be patient here. Patience is really important. What we need to do is slow the tempo down for starters. So I'm going to play it at a slow tempo. I would definitely suggest that you practice this with a metronome. And the other rule that I'm going to apply, which I've spoken about in previous videos, is to not stop when you make a mistake. So play through your mistakes. I'm going to take that first bar and I'm going to play just the first note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once I feel comfortable playing that, I will add the second note. And I'm going to take as much time as I need. I'm not trying to rush through the exercise. I'm just trying to take as much time as I need to feel comfortable as to where that note is going to be placed. So then I'll add the next note. That would sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I will play that long enough to feel comfortable and familiar with that rhythm played on the snare drum against the ostinato. The next note falls on the third note of the triplet on beat 2, so it'll be 1, 2, ah. Now, one thing to think about here is that that note is now going to fall in unison with the skip note on the ride cymbal, so that's going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to add the fourth note, which is the downbeat of beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the very last note of that bar is a quarter note on beat 4. So this is what it's going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would do all of that obviously without stopping. I would just keep the time playing all the way through. I'm only stopping so I can explain to you what each step is along the way. So here's a kind of real-time version of me playing that exercise. I'm going to start with the first note, add the second note, add the third note, fourth note, and fifth note, and I'll do those, really when I feel I'm ready to do that. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's my approach. Now, as I said, I would spend a lot more time just adding each note as long as it takes me to get familiar with where that note is placed against the ostinato. So remember to play through your mistakes. Don't stop when you make a mistake. Just keep playing through the ride cymbal pattern. Just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. Do this with a metronome and slow the tempo down, even slower than where I'm playing it at the moment. This is an interesting thing. Every drummer that's ever played jazz for me in a lesson, without exception, will always play at a tempo that's between 120 and 140 beats per minute. So as a result of this, I've named this the jazz drummer's comfort zone tempo range. So that's between 120 and 140. I would suggest that you start, 100 beats per minute or even 80 beats per minute, whatever it takes for you to be able to play this exercise. Now here's another thing. That one bar that you've just practiced may have taken you 5 or 10 minutes. And that can be pretty discouraging because this is a 40 bar exercise. And you think, okay, that was 10 minutes of practice. That's a 40 bar exercise. This is 400 minutes of practice. My God, that's, nearly 7 hours of practice. It doesn't work that way. The reason why it doesn't work that way is because One, a lot of those bars do get repeated throughout the exercise. The second thing is, as you become more familiar with the independence, your rate of improvement speeds up. And so therefore, once you get past maybe the first 2 or 3 lines, you could actually almost breeze through the rest of the exercise. So don't be discouraged by how long it may take you to get this process started, because it will actually speed up as you go through the exercise. I'm going to leave a link to the PDF that accompanies this video in the description below so that you can check that out and you can get an idea of what my workflow is for this type of practice. Now, if you like this video, please give it the thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, subscribe. And remember to hit that notification bell so that you know when I've uploaded a video, which is every week. So until next week, have fun practicing this. I wish you all the best. It's a great approach, and like I said, you can apply it to a lot of different things. So have a great week. See you soon. Bye. So as a result of this, I've named that the jazz drummers. Let me say all of that again. So as a result of this, I've named this the Jazz Drummers Comforts.